Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mark Skarpness to the stage.
내외 기빈 여러분, 마크 스카프니스를 무대로 모시겠습니다. 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Good morning, everyone. It's really great to see all of you here today, and welcome to the Tizen Developer Summit Korea. We have a wonderful program put together for you covering the next 2 days. We're going to lead off this morning with a series of keynotes, and then this afternoon we have a set of breakout sessions to go into more detail, where you can learn more about application development, platform development, and other topics related to Tizen. We also have a dev lab running this afternoon, where if you're an application developer, you can get some in-depth training on how to get started using the Tizen application developer tools. And then tomorrow we have a hackathon running all day, which is, I think, a really cool opportunity for you to actually build a Tizen application in a day. So kind of a really cool thing, and we have some prizes associated with that. So I really want to encourage you to take advantage of these 2 days. If you have questions about Tizen, things that you've really been wanting to learn. We've got a lot of Tizen experts from the project, from the ecosystem. This is really your opportunity to get those questions answered. So I'd really encourage you to do that, take advantage of these 2 days. So once again, welcome to the summit. And we're going to lead off this morning with an update from the Tizen Technical Steering Group. So I'd like to welcome Executive Vice President J.D. Choi from Samsung to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. I'm J.D. Choi, a co-chair of Tizen Technical Steering Group. When we had the last Tizen Developer Conference in May, we declared that the Tizen platform is ready for productization and ready for commercialization. Today, I'd like to let you know that Tizen's app ecosystem building up has been also moving very smoothly. So first, I'd like to give you updates on Tizen's app ecosystem build-up. After that, I'm going to ask Mark again to give you a little bit of the future of Tizen 3.0 and beyond. After that, I'm going to give you a short but very nice demo on Tizen device that will show you, and I hope will impress you, how good performance Tizen can provide. Tizen Store Seller Office has been up and running since May. And by now, we have more than 4,000 registered sellers. And the Tizen Store Seller Office provides very fast app publication and also app validation for app developers. One very nice feature of Seller Office is that it also supports in-app purchase, which is very popular among games. Then there is the Tizen Store application running on device, and it's effectively ready, and 3 implementation versions will be open for business when the device's products will get launched, which will happen very shortly. The 3 implementations cover the pure web apps, native apps, and the hybrid apps, and it will support various billing policies and mechanisms, such as the credit card and carrier billing. And of course, it will support various local languages and also local currencies. So you can use your won, yen, dollar, mark, franc, anything that you'd like to use. As you may already know, Tizen supports 2 major public APIs, web APIs and native APIs. So we have 2 IDs that have unified interfaces to the user. The web ID now has very nice and enhanced privilege checker that identifies any missing privileges or any misuse of privilege levels. it also supports very nice live editing, meaning that you can see the changes in the UI as you type in the UI configuration files. So it truly supports WYSIWYG. You know what WYSIWYG means? What you see is what you get. It also has enhanced HTML editor and shows very useful pieces of information on various attributes, such as the file contents, image previewing, etc. And it also has an advanced declaration view display for JavaScript function declaration. For the native IDE, we have also improved various development convenience, such as supporting GDB pretty print feature. One very nice feature of this IDE is that when an application terminates under this IDE, the IDE automatically collects the code space coverage information, which is very important for debugging and also for performance optimization. We have also enhanced codec acceleration for the emulator, and we have improved multi-coding performance by up to 5 times compared with the previous one. And it also has an enhanced of emulator manager UX with unified UIs over the most popular development environment operating systems, Windows, Ubuntu Linux, and also Mac OS. And there is the Tizen App Challenge, which has been going on, and that has more than $4 million in winner prizes for selected 64 apps. There are 2 major app categories, one for the games, one for the non-games. For the games, the grand prize is $200,000. And for the non-games, the grand prize is $120,000. And of course, there will be runner-up awards and honorable mention. In addition to those, there will be $50,000 each to the top 10 rated web applications. It has already started, and the official announcement was done in May, and the second stage of app registration has been going on for 5 months, and it will close next month, December 8th. So if you are interested, and whether you have been working on it or you have not studied, I would like to encourage you to speed up your coming up with very nice ideas and converting them into the applications and submit before December 8th. Then in February 2014, we'll announce the winners and there will be award ceremony. So once again, there are 9 total categories, 3 in the games and 6 in non-games. And the participation process consists of 3 steps. Step 1, you have to pre-register. Step 2, you have to get Tizen 2.2 certification. And final step 3, you have to register to the app challenge. And there are a variety of new tools to help you with converting your excellent ideas into the apps. In other words, developing excellent apps. So remember this website and visit it and make sure you will apply and submit your excellent apps. Along with that, we have been holding development lab and hackathon to nurture Tizen ecosystem. There are 2 aspects for this event. First is education, to provide deeper technical experience of Tizen through training. The second aspect is the engagement, to provide developers the opportunity to get easily involved in Tizen ecosystem. There have been 27 past events, and we'll have the 28th event here, starting this afternoon at 2:30, as Mark announced, and all day tomorrow. Who said there is no free lunch? That's wrong. We'll give you not only free lunch, but also free breakfast and free dinner. So please come early, starting at 8 a.m. If you'd like to have even free dessert and snack after the dinner, after the prize announcement, come to me. So now, I'd like to ask to give you some glimpse of the future.
Thanks, JD. So, that was an update on kind of the state of things as they are today for the current Tizen 2.2 platform. And now I'd like to give you a few updates on what's coming next. So, one of the things that we've always said about Tizen is, Tizen is all about building an open, scalable platform that can support a broad range of devices. So in Tizen 2, we've had, of course, mobile support. We've also been hard at work supporting in-vehicle infotainment, the entertainment and navigation system in your car. And just a couple of words about IVI. We've actually got really good traction there with participation from industry leaders such as Toyota and Jaguar Land Rover, who are active participants on Tizen.org, contributing to the project. We've been building features specific for IVI, such as the automotive message broker and the Murphy Policy Manager. So really adapting Tizen to the specific needs of the automotive use case. Looking forward into Tizen 3, we're building the Tizen 3 code base to be very scalable and portable so that we can support a broad range of devices. Things like televisions and cameras, all the way down to embedded uses in a refrigerator or a wearable device. So really making the vision of Tizen a reality in terms of scaling across a broad range of devices. And a big part of that, and another element that's always been kind of the foundation of Tizen, is building Tizen around a standards-based set of APIs. So our primary application developer API is, of course, the Tizen Web API, built on top of the W3C standards for HTML5, for CSS and JavaScript. And that really gives us a foundational API that's common across all of these devices. So as an application developer, you can build an application once and relatively easily move it from device to device, from profile to profile. Along with that, we're creating a set of compliance requirements for the devices. There's a common set of rules for all devices, and this is really the Tizen Web API. So that's the common glue that brings all these devices together. We also have a set of common Core OS code that allows you to do things between devices. So there's a great opportunity to do some really cool usages from device to device because they're sharing a common underlying platform. So we have this common set of compliance rules that spans all of the device profiles. And then we also have, you can think of it as profile-specific chapters. So for example, in IVI, we've added some specific IVI web APIs to expose features of the IVI platform. And those are additional things that if you're tailoring an application for an IVI platform, you can take advantage of those device APIs to get you better integration in a car. Another example of the scalability work that we're doing is scaling the mobile profile. So in the current version of Tizen, you can think of that as kind of the Tizen Mobile Full version. So it requires about a half a gig of RAM, about a gigabyte of on-disk storage for the OS. And in Tizen 3.0, we're going to bring that down to a lower resource point, essentially cut that in half. So half the RAM, half the storage, allowing us to scale Tizen Mobile down to lower footprint devices, because we think that's really important to increase the reach of Tizen in the mobile space. Another thing that we've always said about Tizen, kind of our core principle, is Tizen is an open project. It's developed in the open. And we're really there now with Tizen 3.0. We have our open governance model fully up and running. We're doing our development on Tizen.org. And if you're a platform developer, and this is really primarily about developing the Tizen platform, we have a single mailing list, dev@lists.tizen.org, where we have our developers doing their day-to-day work. It's a very active list if you've been following it. If you're a platform developer and you're not on the list, I'd really encourage you to subscribe, and you can kind of get a sense of what's going on with Tizen 3.0. But in this governance model, there's essentially kind of 4 key roles that I'll briefly describe. And you can see the way this is drawn in a pyramid. Sort of each step up the pyramid is kind of a superset of the role below it. So at the bottom, at the foundation, we have the developers, people that are contributing code or other contributions into the Tizen platform. Above that, we have reviewers, whose responsibility is to look at those contributions and decide whether or not they should be integrated based on technical merit and their overall fit with what we're trying to do in Tizen. A step above the reviewers are the maintainers, so another level of responsibility. These people are essentially in charge of a package, a component, shepherding that through the development process, making sure it's being built correctly, and in line with our overall Tizen architecture and where we're going with Tizen. And then finally at the top, we have the architects. The architects are looking further out. What do we need to do in Tizen to make sure it's right in the medium to long term? Do all of the various bits and pieces fit together into a cohesive whole? Does Tizen scale correctly from the low end to the high end? And these architects work together in an architecture working group. So this is a brief view of the development model, the governance model. We have a session coming up later today where you can learn more about this if you're interested in, hey, how do I become a maintainer or a reviewer? So I'd encourage you to check that out. So with that, just a brief view then of some of the key features coming in Tizen 3.0, things we're already working on. Updated CoreOS and toolchain. So bringing Tizen CoreOS up to the latest upstream projects, since Tizen draws from a lot of core Linux upstreams. Multi-user. We've been bringing multi-user support into Tizen. For example, this is something that the IVI profile needs. You can have multiple users in a car. Or even on a mobile device, you may have multiple different users. And this allows for multiple users with data protection between their data as well. 64-bit architecture support. This has been in the press a lot lately. And I'm happy to say that in Tizen, we've been working on 64-bit architecture support really for the last year. So Tizen 3 and the development we've been doing there, it's fully ready for 64-bit. It will support Intel architecture as well as ARM. And obviously, this brings performance improvements and, of course, the ability to do larger memory addressing with devices over time. Another cool feature is a new 3D UI framework that can do 3D rendering of both 2D and 3D objects in a 3D world. You can see some examples of what that might look like on a mobile device UI over here, along with a dynamic animation library, so you can bring those 3D UIs to life. So I think this is a really cool new feature that you'll be able to take advantage of in your applications. And then finally, some more technical features. We have the Wayland-based compositor. And if you're familiar with the old X window system, which has really been around since the 80s, I guess, think of Wayland as a replacement for that. A much lighter weight, simpler graphical subsystem, giving us better performance, smaller footprint, better security because we don't need to carry along this large code base that we've had with X. This is already being actively used in IVI. And if you're interested in hearing more about that, there is actually an IVI session going on today as well, where you can hear more details of how we're using Wayland with IVI. But it'll also be used in other profiles for Tizen 3. And then finally, we're working on a new application or web runtime. This actually has an upstream project. It's called Crosswalk. So if you're interested in the project, it's crosswalk-project.org. The goal here is to bring applications, web applications, fully on par with native in terms of features, performance, and security. So it's a next generation application web runtime for web apps built on top of Chromium and on top of Blink, which is the new WebKit derivative that Google's been working on. So when is this going to come to the state of Tizen 2? So Tizen 2.2, as JD said, we're at the Tizen 2.2.1 public release, really the end point for the platform for Tizen 2, ready to be built into products, ready for you to write applications against for those products. Tizen 3, we're working towards a third quarter of 2014 release. So that's the rough timeline. And again, if you want to get involved in the details, join the development list, and we'd love to see your contributions. So with that, I'll turn it back to JD for some demos.
So have you seen the future through the glass ball that Mark has shown? And I hope we have seen it, and I have seen it before, and I also hope you have found it quite interesting and very good, at least for Tizen. So there have been rumors running around that Samsung has already a product released to the market that has been based on Tizen. The rumor has been going on for some time. So finally, I'd like to tell you that the rumor has been indeed true. This is Samsung's mirrorless camera, NX300M. And the previous version was NX300, released in the spring. This is the NX300M, released quite recently. And it has been based on Tizen technology. And it boasts, and it has the fastest booting speed among Linux-based high-end cameras. This is 2 mega. This supports 20 megapixels, sorry for that, of resolution. Very nice. And it also has very nice capture performance. 2 shots per second, each of which has 20 megapixel resolution. You may ask, how fast is that fast for the booting speed? Can you see? This fast, about half second. Normally, you would like to carry this with the power off to save the battery. But as soon as you see something that you don't want to miss and you'd like to take a picture of it, you just turn it on, and within half second, it will be ready for picture take. This fast. It is more than 3 times faster than the competitors. And sometimes you have to replace the battery. That's the fact of life. Very unfortunate, but you may not be able to avoid. So when you replace the battery, how long does it take for it to be ready to take a picture? That's the cold boot, less than 30 seconds. So without having to replace the battery, about half second. And when you have to replace the battery, less than 30 seconds, it will be ready. Very nice. Another demo that I'd like to show. This is a real Tizen development device. When he said that the major app paradigm supported by Tizen is a web app, a lot of people have expressed their doubts and their skepticism, saying that web apps could never catch up native apps in performance, particularly with the apps that require very high computation 3D graphics, such as games. Did I tell you that when people said there was no free lunch, they were wrong? Yes, I'm going to say again. The skeptics and the doubters have been wrong. This is the Tizen 3D web app that supports more than 60 frames per second, twice and almost 3 times smoother, faster, and more refined than any other web app support currently available on smartphone. Okay? Well, you may ask, isn't it some pre-captured demo? No, it's real execution. It has 3 modes that I can go through by just tapping on the screen. And I'm going to play this game, although I'm not a good player, just to show that how fast, how smoothly it reacts in real time to my manipulation through my fingers. So, oops, I just made a crash, I'm sorry. Well, I should have brought my child. That would have been much better than. Oops. Anyway, so this is, yeah, I did better yesterday. I got some better scores, but anyway, so the purpose of this demo is to show that it's a it has very excellent performance, more than 60 frames per second, very, very smooth. Even the digital TVs these days may not match this, but we have been able to do that on this small smartphone. The second purpose is that, no, this is not a pre-recorded demo. Oh, this is the real interactive demo to show how I can get crashed and died and resurrected. Okay. So I'll close this demo, and this will close my keynote speech. Okay. Thanks a lot again for coming here. So, Mark.
Thank you very much, JD. And so with that update on the Tizen project and the work that we're doing for Tizen 2.2 today and looking forward into Tizen 3, now we're going to talk about the Tizen Association and the critical role that they're playing to bring the Tizen ecosystem to life. And to do that, I'm happy to welcome Roy Sugimura from NTT Docomo to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to see such kind of demonstration. This is the first time, to be honest. This morning, when 6 o'clock, I have a chance to see the demonstration. And it's amazing. This is the first time to see the real demo. So what can I add to this presentation? I'm thinking. And last time when I was on stage at San Francisco, Tizen, as a Tizen Association and also representing some Docomo, I talked about some commercialization activity also. And first of all, I'd like to say that there is no change. Thank you very much for JD and Mark for your effort. I very appreciate. Based on the effort done by Tizen project, we could make the progress. And that is very steady. So this is the first report for you. And today, I also need to share with you the two facts of the Tizen Association. But directly to talk about the two topics, maybe it might be fair to talk about what is a Tizen and what is the Tizen Association to you. Okay. Tizen itself has a long view or objectives like this. That means we wish to have a world that will have a cloud with multi-devices. And this will make 4 stakeholders happy. First one is the terminal vendors. Oh, no. First one is end users. And application vendors, and terminal vendors, and network operators like us. So this is objectives which we embraced in 2 years ago when we began Tizen activities. In order to reach these objectives, we have 2 wheels to run Tizen activity. One is Tizen project, which you have already seen by the presentation by our very sincere colleague JD and Mark. And this is led under maybe the open source project style, and this is running very well. And together with this real project and real value, Tizen Association is hosting this activity from the industry side. And this has exactly the business side in companies get involved. And using these two wheels, Tizen works very well. And as Tizen Association itself, currently incorporated in Delaware State, and this is exactly the organization based on United States. And official window office is located in San Francisco. And the board members is consisting of the 10 companies like this, and more than half are occupied by the operators currently. But there are a lot of very promising companies constituted, and I'm currently in charge of the chair of this association. And also the vice chair from Orange and from Samsung, two gentlemen working, and also the secretary from Chris from Intel working. So, but Tizen itself has no employee. This is a very special stage. Maybe you might not know that other organizations usually has employees to work with, but Tizen, no employee. How to manage that? Exactly. Such kind of executive like me or Frederick or Hankel working directly. That means we are very flexible, very fast, very, very fast to make a decision. And what's going on? This is the first report to you. Now, Tizen have 36 new members. So, in the worldwide sense, many, many members now joining. Last time when I talked about the Tizen, there were less than 10 new members. That's now 36. This morning, I heard my colleague, Dr. Matoba, how many companies are there. He said, 36 or 37, 38, I'm not quite sure. Why? Maybe there are more than one or two companies just before the signing. So this timing, 36, but maybe tomorrow, 37 and 38. That number is exactly increasing. Why? I think this came from the fact that Tizen's flexibility to get involved in these activities. Chipset vendor can have their focus on modules and platform and software blocks, maybe. And as a common API, device vendor, the software vendors will have an interest. And also the application, of course, application provider and end users will have an interest. That means, and the Tizen Association will insist something, you must do something. No. You can freely get involved in this activity. So coming from just such kind of flexibility, many, many partners are very pleased to get involved. The other report is that we are now in steady pace to make some real product. And this is not new news because you have already heard about the Tizen 3.0. But using that Tizen 2.2, we have already done some progress and innovation as the user interfaces. One is on the communication side with machine and man. And I will not touch about something very detailed about this, but anyway, Dynamics Box and Drop View enable us exactly the new interface for the commercial product. And also, in order to make more natural user interface, some product can provide object-oriented user interfaces. Maybe that's the details. Please ask my colleagues about the details, but such kind of innovation have already done. This is exactly the steady pace for the Tizen. Why we can get such kind of innovation? Maybe that's coming from fact we have the strong wish to connect devices through software. But I think maybe the basic reason why Tizen can go forward, coming from fact that we had very shared vision like this. So there is no change in our view in the future. So as you see that now we are ready to maybe the cloud side of the application software service, And also, we have almost ready of the mobile side, and as you say, that the Tizen camera on the market, and also IVR side, we have already provided that. That was now have already achieved. So this is exactly maybe the real progress in this world. It's amazing. So I'd like to appreciate many efforts by Intel, Merck, and Samsung, and also many operators like in Orange. I'd like to appreciate many people get involved. So final remark from me is that your involvement at Tizen is very crucial, and please feel very comfortable and safe, because there is exactly the very steady maybe move to forward. And last remark which I'd like to say here is that Tizen always doesn't want to say give and take. I have nothing to take from you. I always wish to have something which I don't expect. Wow. So in order to express this, I always say give and receive. So please get involved and enjoy Tizen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roy, and a big thank you to the Tizen Association for the great work that you're doing to build a vibrant Tizen ecosystem. So in JD's keynote, you saw one example of how HTML5 performance is really great on Tizen. And Orange is another company that's been doing some really innovative work on Tizen and pushing HTML5 to its limits. And I'm really happy to have Rafel Uddin here today from Orange to talk about the work that they've done with HTML5 and Tizen. So Rafel?
Thank you, Mark, for the introduction, and good morning, everybody. So it's a real pleasure to be here to present at this Tizen conference. My name's Rafel, and I'm from Orange Labs, based in the UK. So I'd like to spend the next 15 minutes just to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing with Tizen and our experience with HTML5, which was quite a surprise to us. So before I do that, I'd just like to explain who we are, Orange. As an operator, we are based mainly in Europe and AMEA for our residential customers. And we operate globally for business services across 220 countries and territories. So Orange Labs in the UK is part of quite a big engineering department within Orange. The lab has been set up about over 12 years ago, and our mission is essentially to do research and development of new services and products for Orange. So we have a very diverse set of skills within the lab. So we have software developers skilled on mobile apps development, and also server development, and we have interaction designers and usability specialists in the lab. So that makes for a very rich and creative development environment. So how are we contributing to Tizen? So essentially there are 4 areas that we're working on. The first is on platform expertise support. So the lab and overall, as a company, we get involved in development across all the other mobile OS platforms. So I think that puts us in a very good position to critique and benchmark Tizen against the best that we see out there. And when we see that, we are able to come back to Tizen and give really good feedback on the UI performance, the user interaction, the features and services. And we also get involved in testing the platform and the defects that we see, we're constantly raising those and giving those back to Intel and Samsung. We also, within the lab, support the Tizen Association. So my good colleagues, Frederic Dufal and Mark Sage, who are doing an excellent job in the Tizen Association. We are supporting them on, for example, the requirements working group, giving feedback on compliancy and APIs. But the key thing is that we're giving developer feedback, which I think is really useful for the association. Finally, around community evangelism, so we internally and externally support hackathon events and spreading the good word around of Tizen within and outside the company. The fourth area is around application development, and that's where our main focus is. So before I talk about the applications, a little bit about our development philosophy. So within the lab, we have a very strong philosophy to craft our applications. We're not just building them, we're not just coding them. The developers take real care and interest in the applications that they're building. So there's a real sense of ownership, and their benchmark is, would they use the applications themselves? We also employ Scrum across all our development projects, and it's a methodology that works really well, connects the developers to the product owners and the end customers much more closely. And we're open to using all the third-party tools and frameworks that give the best results. In our journey, we've also discovered responsive design, and we've embraced it quite strongly. Responsive design, for those that don't know, is the ability to design and code an application to adapt to different screen size and resolutions. And you'll see later on how important that is for cross-platform support. And finally, our developers come from native backgrounds, so they're traditionally C, C++, Qt developers. And when we first embarked on Tizen, we were quite skeptical about the power of HTML5 and if it can really achieve the performance that we normally expect from native development. And we were quite pleasantly surprised, which I'll show you later. So here are the applications that we're in the process of building within Orange. The first one you see there on your left is Orange TV, which allows you to consume TV content on your device. The second one is Orange Daily, which is around news and infotainment. The one in the middle is Orange Wednesday, and that's for the UK market, where there's promotions around films. Orange Moi is a care app, so it allows our customers to manage their accounts. And finally, at the end, Orange Wallet is an NFC-based card emulation application, so it allows you to perform financial transactions using your mobile as a wallet. So I'm going to focus on two applications which I think really highlight the power of HTML5. The first is Orange Cineday. And Orange Cineday is an application for the French market. And again, it's around films and promotions. And I think this application really highlights the rich graphical experience that you can now achieve with HTML5, and most importantly, without compromising the performance. So if you can play the video. So we have this video of the actual application. You can see the sort of interaction and the design. This is actually running on a reference hardware, so it's not an emulator or a simulator. We've just captured the screen output. It probably doesn't do justice to the application. You really have to have it in your hands and play with it on a real device, and you can really feel the experience. And I have to commend the designers back in the lab and the developers for achieving this, because a lot of hard work has gone into this. So this application also runs with the same performance across other mobile OSs that we've ported it to. So the performance doesn't degrade. And there you see you get video playback as well of trailers. So internally within Orange, when we've shown this application around, generally people couldn't distinguish this from a natively built application. And I think that is a testament to how far Tizen and HTML5 has come. I think that we are now at the cusp of being able to build applications that are equivalent to native. The next application I'd like to talk about is Orange TV. Again, it's a TV service for the French market. And this application, I think, highlights the cross-platform benefit that we're achieving from HTML5. So when we started building this application, it was primarily for the Tizen device. But we had a need also for the new BlackBerry 10 device to have the same application running. So in fact, what we were able to do with very minimal effort was to port the application and get it running at a really good level on the BB10 device. And what you see there is sort of the code structure, and you can see that the common code, the model, the view, the libraries, the third-party libraries, and all the different databases, it's all common across both platforms. The only specific code for the platforms is the JavaScript code that for example, retrieves the IMSI from the SIM, or to be able to end the application or launch other applications, but it's a small part of the code. And then, of course, you've got the separate manifest files for the different platforms. So in fact, 96% of the code base is common. And actually, 81% of the code base is JavaScript. A very small part of that is HTML5 and CSS. And you can see that this platform-specific code is only 2% on each platform. And I think it's amazing how, with little effort, we're able to really port it across another platform and take the benefits that we save on time and cost. So, cross-platform surprise. So, generally, across all of our applications, they're 95 to 100% developed in HTML5. And, of course, Orange, we provide services for all our customers across all the other mobile OS platforms. So, we were pleasantly surprised that we were able to run all of our applications with very little modification and little effort on all of the other OS platforms. And in fact, we've delivered Orange TV and Orange Moi on the BB10 in France, and that was based off the Tizen application. Another really nice feature, another really nice thing that our developers like is the ability to update features and bug fixes and do the update just on one code base, and that applies across all the platforms. So it's not all been easy. We've had some difficulties. I think it's worth sharing some of those pain points that we've had. So firstly, within Orange, not all of our backends are HTML5 friendly. So the backends are generally built for talking to native clients. So for example, around cookie management. So we have to talk to multiple server backends for each client. And when we receive a cookie from one server, that cookie can't be used to retrieve content off another server. Then you essentially break the cross-site scripting rules within browsers. Handling redirections. So we have, when we do a HTTP GET with parameters and we get a redirected URL, the redirected URL doesn't contain those parameters. And we can't add them to the redirected URL because it's all managed within the browser and it's all closed to us. So, so there we got the server team to change their code so that on the redirected URL, they would add the parameters that we would initially pass on in the HTTP GET. Thirdly, on parsing, so our experience with Orange TV was that XML, large XML, is very costly to parse on a device. So for example, with Orange TV, getting the TV listings, it's very large. JavaScript is single-threaded by nature, and so it blocks the application. There is web workers, but we don't really have the APIs to parse XML with web workers. So our recommendation is to switch to JSONs, much better, much faster for us. On the device, again, we have had various cookie issues where the cookie received by the browser isn't being pushed onto the video player, and therefore the video playback content can't be authenticated properly. And finally, around web storage, there's still some fragmentation going on until we all move over, hopefully, to IndexedDB. There are still platforms that use WebSQL or local storage, so we have to implement all of those three storage capabilities within our application. So some developer feedback on the IDE. Generally, they really like the IDE. So you see it supports multi-OSs, so Linux, Mac, and Windows. There is a simulator and emulator support in there. There's device debugging, and they really like the fact that you can use Chrome Web Inspector as well to do debugging. The documentation is integrated into the IDE. You have web and native development within the same IDE. And Tizen has a very rich set of APIs, and those APIs are growing, and we take advantage of those quite well. So, changing mindsets from native to HTML5. So the question is HTML5 really a viable alternative to building native applications? In our view, for certain applications, we think it is. And that's not just us theorizing, it's based off over a year of application development. And the benefits you cannot ignore. There's the cost to potentially build it only once and modify with little effort for other platforms. There's the benefit of time to market as well. So we can get go quicker to market on multiple platforms. On deployment, you don't have to just package the application and put it on a web store or on an app store. You can also host the application through a URL on your portal sites if you want. And then finally, using responsive design, you can build the application and design the application so that it can react to different screen sizes from tablets, mobile, desktop, and TV. So finally, I just want to say that our experience is that we are really seeing the browser ecosystem mature. Rendering is becoming more consistent between different platforms. The browsers are becoming more standards compliant. And to be honest, the performance is increasing all the time, especially with the JavaScript engines. So I think with the growth of HTML5 and it growing in strength, I think Tizen has the potential to capitalize and set the benchmark for the industry. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the speech and enjoy the conference.
Thank you very much, Rafel, for sharing your perspective on HTML5 development. I think it's a great proof point of how you can build a rich, high-performant application purely in HTML5 and also get great reuse. You know, tying back to our vision of Tizen spanning all of these different device profiles. That's really one of the key reasons why we chose HTML5 as our primary application development API. So now we're going to hear some perspectives from the operator point of view. We have Eung-Ho Lee here from KT, who's going to talk about his expectations and KT's expectations for Tizen as a platform, since they obviously play a critical role in bringing Tizen devices to the market. So Eung-Ho?
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, everyone. My name is Eung-Ho Lee from KT. KT joined the Tizen Association as a board member last year. I'm very proud to be here talking about Tizen Association and OS. Tizen OS is a new, more open and more diverse mobile ecosystem. Now, let me start my presentation. First, I'll give some information about how KT is trying to support media contents, friendly mobile ecosystem, and then make an overview of major changes in digital age, and move on to the present competition landscape in mobile ecosystem in Korea. And finally, I'll give you the strengths of the Tizen OS and its promise to you. As you well know, the KT is Korean telecommunication history itself. After merging its mobile subsidiary in 2007, KT comes to provide fixed, mobile, and convergent services. Telecommunication service today go beyond the simple communication capabilities. It has been a lifetime partner to let people to share their feelings and knowledge with others. That's why KT recently acquired some venture firms closely related with those customer needs. KT has been trying to provide best quality services to our customers through our network. KT was the first WCDMA service operator in Korea. In September, KT launched the world first wideband LTE and LTE advanced services. Now we have got second largest LTE subscribers. The LTE era comes, people can enjoy all IP services in any place and in any devices. For example, you can watch your favorite movie seamlessly on TV at home, using a smartphone in a subway, and notebook at a cafe. Especially the wideband LTE let people hear the 2 times clearer voice and see the 12 times more vivid image than before. In the whole IP world, people can enjoy any content service they want, anytime, any place, and with any devices all around the clock. Mobile devices has been at the core in digital age. The first, you see the brick. The novelty car phone has been changed to feature phone with some limited functions like SMS and the limited internet service, and move to the smartphones like a handheld computer, and now to wearable devices. You can see the Galaxy Gear, Google Glasses, and wristband for healthcare, and so on. Such smartphone evolution has fundamentally changed the characteristics of digital contents. We can summarize to 3 features. The first, the exchange of contents are possible in the speed of light. The second, transaction volume is growing exponentially. The third, this exchange and transaction is being made in global scale without any trip, tariff, and checking at the border post. There are many other considerable environmental factors, but customers' needs is the key success factors, such as simple to use, easy to share, and flexible to access. That's the key we should pay attention to. Now, in the present mobile ecosystem, many OSs is already competing. However, 2 giants, iOS and Android, have more than 90% market share, and actually they rule the market. In particular, in Korea, Android only have 90% market share. Apple opened the smartphone age in 2007, but on the other hand, on the contrary to Apple's iOS, Google Android took the strategy of openness, collaboration, and coexistence to fast penetrate into the market. Google takes the first or the second position in the world. On the contrary, on the other hand, other OSs could not make any outstanding impact on the market. Are you happy with this, geopolitical situation? Apple Store and Google Play have more than 100 its own apps, respectively. But the customers reportedly tend to focus on only top 10 apps. So newcomers have to spend much more efforts and money to appeal to customers. And in addition, Google is gradually changing its original policy toward more closed and more coercive. For example, Google enforced developers to use its own in-app payment and tried to change the commission distribution weight to operators. In short, in present mobile ecosystem, only a small number of participants can make a good fortune, but remaining majority cannot. Why do we face such inconvenient situation? I think the reason is because the noble value, diversity and openness, is getting spoiled. Tizen is the OS that much appreciates diversity and openness, which is the reason why many global players already have supported Tizen. Why is Tizen the best choice? At first, we pay attention to the Android's key success factors. First, Google's open source policy became the firm foundation of support from many market players. Device manufacturers were willing to adopt Android OS, and mobile operators actively support the sales of Android smartphone. Finally, Google eagerly tried to upgrade their Android versions. So all of those efforts could attract developers and eventually strengthen its whole ecosystem. Tizen did not hesitate to adopt these key success factors. Tizen inherits the spirit of openness and sharing advocated by Linux Foundation and is technically supported by Technical Steering Group, as known as TSG. within Linux Foundation. And Tizen actively expanding its strong partnership with device manufacturers and mobile operators. On top of that, Tizen supports both web and native language. Web, namely HTML5, is very detailedly mentioned by Rafel. The web can make easy the distribution of apps in multiple platforms. And native language can utilize the device functions such like colorful graphics and high performance. The Tizen is the best HTML5 technology according to many official reports. This is the most important point that can make Tizen become the next strong OS candidate in the market. Especially HTML5 is the trend. Only 80%, almost 80% of app developers would use to make their apps within 1 year. Tizen as a HTML5 engine can make one source used in multi-platforms and multi-devices. Then you are accustomed to Tizen OS, and you can see your contents on various devices and even on the other OSs with much efforts. Open governance policies will be applied to Tizen Store. Tizen Store will be managed transparently and fairly under the responsibility of the third party. And Tizen provides more benefits and monetization opportunities to developers. As you well know, Tizen App Challenge, held in July this year, will be also available coming year. Please join the contest and take big chances to help with your business and brand. KT fully supports Tizen's vision. Open source policy and innovative platform and flexibility. All this will give a new experience to customer and make good opportunities for developers too. You are very welcome to Tizen. And Tizen is well prepared to support your creative ideas. And I hope this two-day Tizen Developer Summit will be very helpful for your business and your aspiration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eung-Ho, for sharing your perspective on the market opportunity for Tizen, the things that we need to do to make Tizen a success in the market, and really thank you for your great support of Tizen at KT. So now we're at break time, so we're going to take a break. Please be back here in 15 minutes at 10:45, and you will have your first opportunity also to see some of the demo showcases that are out in the lobby. So again, 15-minute break back here at 10:45 for remaining keynotes. Thank you.